And good evening from Bramlage Coliseum, the Octagon of Doom. This is their K-State Instant Reaction on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel and Twitter, and also Facebook Live on 580 WIBW. I am Dan Lucero, live from Manhattan, Kansas, where the Kansas State Wildcats have rallied from behind. They were down 10 points in the second half, clawed their way back, and some late magic from Cam Carter delivers the Wildcats a 70-66 victory over Oklahoma State. K-State now 14-4 on the year, 4-1 in the Big 12 Conference, and in a two-way tie for first with Texas Tech. Let's react to it, shall we? Appreciate you who are tuning in live to the stream. Leave a comment on the YouTube page if you're on the YouTube chat. You can also leave your comments on Twitter as well if you're watching along on our Twitter handle, 580 Sports Talk, and I will see those throughout this little conversation we'll have here together. K-State winning this game and doing it despite the fact that Oklahoma State was able to play the game on their terms. Oklahoma State hasn't won a lot of Big 12 games under Mike Boynton. They've really struggled with him on the sideline, except for the one year where they had a generationally talented prospect in Cade Cunningham who ended up in Stillwater. Other than that year, they haven't been very good in league play, and this year they have yet to win a league game, now 0-5. But every time Oklahoma State wins a game, it feels like this game felt for the first 35 minutes, where the pace is slowed. It's a muddy game. It's a greasy game. There are a bunch of turnovers, and Oklahoma State defends so well that they don't let their opponent get into a rhythm. And Kansas State never really got into a great offensive rhythm in this game, truth be told. Early in the contest, it was Arthur Kaluma kind of bailing them out, hitting some threes or getting to the line. It was Kaluma who was the bucket getter when K-State really needed one, particularly late in the first half. After K-State had jumped out early, Oklahoma State led by as many as 7 late in the first half, and if it wasn't Kaluma scoring, it wasn't anybody scoring for K-State down the stretch in that first half. And the second half really felt like more of the same. And with 10 minutes left, Kansas State found themselves down by 10, 54-44. But again, it's the same thing with this Kansas State team. They believe. They don't panic. They don't take a lot of bad shots. They might turn the ball over. They might have a bad possession here and there, but you know the old saying, there's no 10-point play in basketball. You're down double figures. You can't get 10 in one shot, right? They never try to get 10 in one shot. I think a lot of teams would try. Sometimes you see teams, they get behind and they panic a little bit. They take a bad shot, or they commit a really bad turnover, or they give a silly foul after a missed shot. And Kansas State just didn't make those mistakes. Kept their composure, kept their confidence, kept their belief, and whittled away. And Tyler Perry got going. That really helped. He sat for an extended stretch in the second half, about a 6-minute stretch, 6+ minutes. He came off the floor. And wasn't aware of any injury or anything like that. It didn't look like he was getting worked on at the end of the bench. I couldn't tell from my vantage point. I could be wrong on that. But wasn't aware of anything like that. He just was on the bench for a while. He wasn't playing well. He was 0 for 4 from the field. He committed a couple of turnovers. He comes back in, plays with confidence, hits a 3, gets a 3-point play, jump starts an 8-2 run. K-State's right back in the ball game just like that. And then down the stretch, it was Cam Carter and Arthur Kaluma who brought it home for the Wildcats. Carter's 3 that he banked in with 3:31 to go gave K-State the lead back, capped off a 7-0 run that gave K-State the lead back. They wouldn't trail again. Oklahoma State didn't go away. They tied it at 61. They tied it at 63. They tied it at 66 with 53 seconds to go. And then K-State, again, the one big criticism I've had of them is that some of their late shot clock possessions where they're trying to bleed the 30 seconds off the shot clock, a lot of times it sort of devolves into, hey, Tyler Perry, go do something. It turns into Tyler Perry hero ball, and he hasn't really been great at that this season, to be truthful about it. And in this scenario, he lost his footing. He was able to get down on the ball and throw it off of an Oklahoma State player and out of bounds underneath and save 1.2 seconds on the shot clock, which was all K-State needed. Page right out of Bill Self's baseline out of bounds playbook. Tyler Perry with the lob. Cam Carter with the tip in. K-State led 68-66. And then Oklahoma State, very different from Kansas State. Kansas State is a team that expects to win. Oklahoma State is now 0-6 this season in games decided by 5 points or fewer. They did panic. They did freeze up. they were feeling the weight of not having won a Big 12 game. You could see it. Bryce Thompson, a veteran player, guy who's played a lot of basketball in the Big 12, airballed a free throw with 1:28 left that would have tied the game. Airballed it. Not, one thing to miss a free throw. He missed everything on the free throw. This is a veteran player, a good shooter. Airballed a free throw. And that's the difference between Kansas State and Oklahoma State, is that Kansas State believed they were going to come back and win the game. And Oklahoma State, when it got tight, they didn't. And that's why Kansas State ended up winning in the end. 70-66, again, the final score. Arthur Kaluma, super. 23 points on 12 shots. 3 for 5 from deep. Just 6 of 9 from the line. Struggled early, but was really good late from the stripe. Also had 7 rebounds. Did turn it over 5 times. Got harassed into some turnovers. Oklahoma State does play hard on defense. They have some good length. But Kaluma's scoring was big, and there were a lot of situations. Late first half, when K-State needed a bucket, they were down by 7 on the final possession of the first half. They really needed a bucket to kind of flip the momentum going into the locker room, and it was Kaluma who got the ball late in the shot clock and buried a wing 3 to cut it to 35-31 at the break. We started to see in some of those scenarios Arthur Kaluma be the guy to take the shot, not Tyler Perry. And I think that's beneficial for Kansas State, that they have another option they're comfortable with. And Kaluma, veteran player, he's obviously going to be comfortable taking those big shots. Cam Carter with 15. In truth, he did not start the game well. Picked up a couple of fouls, had a couple of uncharacteristic turnovers, but grew into the game and made the biggest shots of the game for K-State. That banked in 3 from the top of the key, the tip in to break the tie with 24 seconds, and then to ice the game with 8 seconds left, going 2 for 2 at the free throw line. K-State is a team, 11 of 13 in the second half. Again, poise, confidence, belief. Will McNair had 10. K-State really early was able to press their advantage, having 2 bigs as opposed to just 1 big for Oklahoma State. And McNair and Gasson, David Gasson, got off to good starts. They had the first 9 K-State points between them. Gasson didn't score again after that, though he did make a 3-pointer, the second 3-pointer of the season. Then he made another one, but it got waved off because they called a foul before the shot. But if David Gasson has all of a sudden found a 3-point stroke, I'm not saying he's all of a sudden Marquise Noel from behind the arc, but if he can make you have to think about guarding him out on the wing or in the corner, that's going to open up the floor even more for guys like Perry and Carter. So that's an interesting development there. I mentioned McNair had 10 and 5. Gasson 5 and 5. He was in foul trouble. Jarrell Colbert was in foul trouble too. We have to mention this. The officiating crew tonight: Marquise Pettigrew, Deron George. Maybe it's Darren, Randall Anders. They were bad. By any name, they were bad. It was a poorly officiated game. The home crowd did not like the officials. Neither coach was happy with the officials. It was a poorly officiated game, which, kind of par for the course if you've watched enough Big 12 basketball. In the end, there were a lot of whistles and a lot of free throws. Both teams shot 13 free throws in the second half. But K-State made 11, and Oklahoma State made 8. And those 3 points were big in what ended up being a 4-point game. Data Ames came off the bench, played 15 points. They got him back from injury for this game. 4 points on 2 of 5 shooting, a couple of assists, a couple of turnovers. Played a lot in the second half. We saw some extended R.J. Jones minutes, building off that big shot he hit in overtime against Baylor. Jones made his first field goal, a pull-up mid-range, but then missed 3 pretty good looks from 3. Still, he got some extended run with the starters when Carter was in first half foul trouble, and hopefully that's a sign that Jerome Tang is gaining some confidence in R.J. Jones, because I think his shooting is an element that the Wildcats really could use off the bench. K-State was just 8 of 22 from behind the arc. 36% is not bad. It's not great either, but they were 4 for 8 in the second half, and they obviously shot much better in the second half than they did in the first. So K-State, 4-1 in the Big 12, along with Texas Tech. So it's 2 former Scott Drew assistants who have their teams at the top of the Big 12 through 5 games, and they don't hang banners for being 4-1 and in first place in the Big 12 through 5 games. It's an 18-game grind. And Jerome Tang even said in his post-game radio interview, nobody cares if you're in first place through 5 games. Like, nobody's going to throw anybody a parade. But K-State is taking care of business. And that's important, because we can look just down at Interstate 70 at a team in Kansas who has played 3 of the worst teams in this conference on the road, where you would like to be able to think you can get those games. And K-State, after losing to West Virginia earlier today, they're 1-2 against the teams I think are the three worst in the league: Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and UCF. Though to be fair to West Virginia, they are a different team now than they were when the season started. I wouldn't look at their 6-11 overall record, frankly, to judge how good West Virginia is. I would say they are much more like the 2-3 team that their Big 12 record says they are. They'll probably get some big wins down the stretch as well. Still, I think that's the bottom of the league. Bottom three teams in the league. KU went 1-2 against those guys on the road. K-State's played those teams, and they've beaten them all. And they're 1 point away, one missed travel on Joe Toussaint in Lubbock away from being 5-0 in the league right now. So it's an outstanding start. That's all it is. But you have to take care of business. You have to win your home games. You're going to go to the NCAA tournament this year in this league. If you're going to go even 500 in this league, you've got to be hard to beat at home. And Kansas State has been, and they have protected their home court, even against the bottom half of the league. They also have that home win over Baylor earlier this week. And that 4-1 start, nothing to shake a stick at. Tough road game coming up for the Cats Wednesday night. They are in Ames, Hilton Magic. This is the time of year you don't want to play Iowa State, even though they almost blew a 18-point lead on the road today to TCU. They may not have one of their best players, Taman Lipsey. He missed today's game with injury. But that's going to be a hard place to play, a hard place to come out with a win. But K-State's banked 4 in their first 5 games, and that has them on their way to serious NCAA tournament consideration. Good win for the Cats tonight, 70-66 over Oklahoma State. We'll talk about it on Monday's edition of 580 Sports Talk from 2 to 6 Central Time on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, and these very same YouTube and Twitter channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk on Twitter. We'll also, of course, on Monday's show, talk about KU's loss in Morgantown, and we'll have a full breakdown of the Kansas City Chiefs and their divisional round playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. That's tomorrow night. We'll have a live Chiefs reaction video after the Chiefs game, same place tomorrow night, and then we'll react more to it on 580 Sports Talk from 2 to 6 with myself, Brendan Wrzinski, and Spencer Dupuis. Hope you'll join us then, but for now, this is good night from Bramlage Coliseum. K-State, 14-4, 4-1 in the Big 12, 70-66 winners over the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. Good night.